Welcome back. This is the second video in our first chunk of 5 videos helping you set up your basic equipment to start practicing guitar if you're a brand new player. If you are a more advanced player, you're not just starting out, go ahead and skip ahead a few videos and there'll be content for you there. Today, the goal is to just, within 10 minutes, cover the basic equipment you need to start practicing guitar. This is within the greater goal of this channel to help you express yourself how you want on guitar. Maybe you've heard a guitar sound and thought, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. That's how it was for me. I started realizing what a guitar was like after I found my dad's acoustic in the closet, started playing that, got hooked immediately, went out and got a Fender, what was it? No, it was a Squier Stratocaster, $100. I got a $100 amp, started playing that, knew I liked it a lot, so I got another electric that was a Les Paul Epiphone Les Paul. It was awesome. I felt so cool. I was using humbuck pickers, which is humbuck pickups, which is these things right here. These are single coil. These are not humbuckers. Typically, you find humbuckers on SG guitars and Les Pauls. You'll find single coils on Stratocasters and other guitars. The difference being humbuckers are a thicker sound and single coil thinner, but more variation in the sounds that you can explore. So let's see. After that guitar, knew I loved it, but I didn't like the humbucker sound. I wanted more variation. Huge Hendrix and Frusciante fanboy, so had to be like them, of course. Went and got a Stratocaster. I worked for a couple seasons reffing basketball, saved up enough for an American Stratocaster, and that's this guitar here. This was about $1,100. As far as amps go, I actually started just playing through one of those brown old pig nose amps meant for just, I think, a microphone. It's actually a brown leather case with a volume knob that looks like a pig's nose. Pretty cool to realize that you can hit strings and it transmits a signal that is emitted through a speaker. It's like a powerful feeling. But you want a dedicated guitar amp for sure. That's probably about $100 at minimum. So for the electric setup, you're looking at anywhere between probably $100 minimum and $250 for a few extra upgrades. Anyway, let's see, what is a guitar? It is just a set of wires strung from the bridge, held by a little ball on the end of the wire, so it sticks up in there, and you pull it through, and you can't pass it through anymore, and then you tie it down to these little metal knobs, tuners. Tighten up the tuners, and they get stretched across the neck and held down by its little dampener piece called a nut. So really the tone is made from the bridge to the nut. The length of the guitar is free. Nothing's holding it down. The metal pieces between frets are intermediate places where you can pinch the wire down, changing the pitch. Okay, so you just change the pitch, the higher you move up, and pinch the string down in a different location. Highly recommend looking up that movie, It Might Get Loud, with Jack White, Jimmy Page, and The Edge from U2. I think the intro scene shows Jack White literally just hammering down a piece of wire over a piece of wood, sliding a glass bottle underneath it to lift the string up, putting a pretty rudimentary guitar pickup underneath it to pick up on the string's vibration, and then striking the string and using a slide to make sounds along the string. pretty cool. That's a very basic way to see what a guitar is, and that's still basically what it is. Um, it's pretty important to understand the basic idea of that. You're just pinching a wire down, it vibrates, and if it's an electric guitar, the pickup reads that signal and sends it through the amplifier to make a sound. We also have an acoustic guitar. First, I'm going to go through the pedals here. Uh, so an expression pedal, I have 3 pedals with me, plenty of pedals out there, but you might want to start with some basic ones. First, I'll talk about the distortion. I just have a Rat pedal, about 80 bucks. Pretty fun pedal, few settings on it, and it's a pretty harsh sound. I like more chaotic sounds like that. Here it is with it on, and then off, and then on again. So there's a volume setting. I have it turned down a little bit to dampen that really bright sound with it off. Let's see. Also have an expression pedal, which is a wah pedal, and I move my foot on it back and forth to make an expression. You can have these on an amplifier too. A lot of amps have preset or effects built into the amp. For instance, wah pedal. But if you do that, you're not going to get as much expression, or you aren't able to change as many settings on the amp as if you have a dedicated guitar pedal for that one effect, say. For instance, with the wah pedal, if you got it on an amp, it'd be just a consistent wah sound that you can't really change. It would sound like this. Where, because I'm using my own foot on a dedicated pedal, I can change that setting in real time, leading to more expression, hence expression pedal. And there are all sorts of things you can do, make it sound really cool. Same with the distortion. My distortion pedal, this Rat pedal, has a distortion level. The filter level helps dampen the sound waves a little bit, and get more into like what that means and how distortion is actually where the sound waves clip and distort. This is just the beginning lesson though, just equipment, and a volume knob. So I can change all that from just the pedal. Don't necessarily have to go to the amp. Oh, excuse me. And then I have a loop pedal, and this is nice to accompany yourself. Really good for practicing, for setting a chord progression behind what you might want to play. Little demo of what a loop pedal can do, especially if you play with a metronome. You can set a click so that you accurately set a background tune chord progression, and excuse me there, and then you are playing along in time with something, not necessarily so loosey goosey, getting lost in your own sense of rhythm or whatever. It's important that you adhere to an external sense of rhythm if you want to play with a band or anyone else, even just another guitar player. Which gets us to another piece of equipment that we should call essential. On the phone, on your phone, just find a free app for a metronome, and it's just going to set a tick that you set to a certain tempo, faster or slower, and that's going to help you play accurately. It's a great practice tool. It's very boring, very rudimentary and drill-like, but it's very important for your sound. Okay, along with that, we get into more exercises with that a lot later, but let's see. Also, a phone app you should pick up for free is just a tuner. I use one called Guitar Tuna, like the fish tuna, just all one word, Guitar Tuna. Basically, you the phone's microphone will pick up your string. By string, it recognizes what string you're playing. You play the open string, and it will um, show you how much you need to change the tuner in order to be on the standard tuning. This is the first time I picked up this guitar in about a year, by the way. So it's not in tune, but it's a nice quality guitar. It's American made Strat, heavy, nice tuners, and so it's actually pretty well in tune, but not completely. If you can hear that, it's a little bit out of tune, but we're going to get to tuning in another video. Okay, so what else do we have here? We've done all the electric stuff. We did the pedals. Strings, you're going to eventually break a string or want new strings on your guitar. So let's see. I have these here. I just buy electric strings in bulk. Ideally change them like once a month or so. We'll do a video on that too, stringing your guitar. They're a lot cheaper in bulk. I think without, they're run between like $15, $25. There's a whole debate on, thick or thin strings. I just go thin. It's easier on the fingers. It's easier to bend, but personal preference totally. And here's some acoustic strings. Ernie Ball for the electric and Martin for acoustic. I don't really care what brand. I just usually go with the cheapest because I'm not playing for anybody but myself. So, I mean, I guess until now, but yeah, just make sure you have a set of strings so that when you inevitably break a string, you have a backup for that string. And it'll probably be your G string that you break or your B. Okay, so that's the strings. We talked about a slide. Here's a slide, and what this is basically like a mobile fret. You can make your instrument atonal like this. You don't have to have an atonal guitar. So you hear how it picks up all those little tones between the frets. Where if you slid without a slide, it moves up in audible increments. You can hear when my finger passes the fret. With the slide, it's all smooth. So fun to play with. It can change your playing a lot. It's pretty difficult at first, but once you get it down, it's really fun. All right. I think that's everything except the capo. I want to cover the capo with the acoustic guitar. Tuner, metronome, pedals, strings, guitar, pick, just a little plastic pick or plectrum, as I think bass players call them. Doesn't really matter much. I mean, it changes things a lot compared to playing with your fingers. Softer sound with the fingers. Just a little sharper strike. People call that the strike or attack when your pick actually hits the string and plucks it. You can get different materials for this, change your sound up. A metal pick will sound a lot different than like a soft coated pick. Some people have coatings on their picks, like a little powder for grip. Say if you sweat, easier to not lose your grip on your pick. Experiment. Try different things. Try coins. Try using a quarter. Just see what it does. Okay, so let's go to the acoustic guitar. All right, so this is an old Ovation. It's got a rounded back, and the action, which is the space between the strings and the neck, is very high on this guitar. Pretty high. We actually had it lowered because it was too hard for me to learn on at first. Excuse me. When I first started with this guitar, I couldn't make a sound. My fingers didn't have the right callus on the fingertips built up yet. And you might be in the same situation, but eventually you'll get there. Don't worry about it. Just keep holding the strings down as best you can within the limits that reasonable pain allows. So this could also hook up to an amplifier. I don't really like the sound, but here's an input jack if you wanted to do that. But for acoustic, the sound hole and body of the guitar is where the vibration of the strings reverberates around, and it emits the sound. So you can be pretty loud with it. It's pretty surprising what that little bit of physics or technology, whatever you want to call it, can do. So let's see. Also a little bit out of tune. We'll tune this one up too. This is a lot more simple than the electric, and most likely you're starting on acoustic. The drawback is it's going to hurt your fingers a little bit more at first. It's just harder to press down the strings on an acoustic guitar. But everything else is basically the same. Acoustics are easier to strum and sound good because on an electric you have to worry about the distortion. Any effects you have are pretty much amplified, actually literally amplified by the other sounds of multiple strings going over each other. On acoustic, they're all designed to be able to play along with each other. They're in the same tuning, same as electric, but it's a clean sound. And so all those tones that are organized to go together can actually go together. On electric, there's that clipping term again. The distortion causes a lot of clipping, and it just sounds chaotic. Anyway, that's acoustic. One thing that goes along with acoustic you might want to pick up when you first start is capo. Say you look up tabs on a song and it says capo on 4th fret. Just throw it on the 4th fret. Basically, this acts like a second nut. It holds all the strings down at one time at a certain fret. A lot of acoustic songs use the 4th fret for some reason, just kind of a sweet spot for it. Did we cover this with the electric? I don't know. It sounds a lot different for acoustic though. I'm gonna have to find a way to mic the acoustic better. But here's what the capo sounds like. Still a little out of tune. Yeah, more than a little out of tune, but 2nd fret is another popular place. Oh yeah, that's definitely out of tune. Okay. The nice thing about acoustic too is you can put a lot more texture into your rhythm hand. Like that song, I was plucking and then using my fingernail to kind of get a brush sound. And then even a different sort of pick with the tip of my finger instead of the harsh part of my thumb. So you can get a lot of variation out of your hand. And that's pretty much a big theme of this channel is how to get your unique sound out. A lot of channels go over the theory, the right notes to play. Here, it's more about making mistakes, hearing the cool innovations that come from your mistakes that are more of like your personal touch and getting those amplified as like your personal style. So little throw out to the rest of the channel there. That's all the equipment you need to start practicing guitar. So hopefully you got an idea of the direction of acoustic or electric, where you want to start or what you are starting with already, and what you can do with that, some equipment you might add on to that, like the capo, be able to play some more songs if you see that a song requires a capo. Pedals, if you want to change the sound of your amplifier, what type of amp you might use. This, by the way, is just a Yamaha desktop amp, less than 15 watts. I don't know exactly, but I'll get into specifics of amps later when we go into more effects. Anyway, that's the second video. That's all the equipment you need. Thanks for joining. This is a Guitar Animal, and next video we will get into some actual practicing that you need to advance quickly. Thanks for joining. See you next time.